Space exploration from Galileo Galilei to Neil deGrasse Tyson, Jenny Mason. Exploring the skies. Do you ever pretend your bike is a rocket booster as you ride it up a ramp and fly through the air? Have you ever floated in a pool, imagining what it's like for astronauts in zero gravity? You are not alone. People have dreamed of space exploration since ancient times. Prehistoric cultures carved the skies pattern onto bones and stones. Many ancient cultures used religion to explain the wonders in the sky. These included ancient Greeks, Egyptians, Mayans, and Chinese. In the 17,000s and 18,000s, scientific tools helped people learn more about space. In the 19,000s, scientists built spacecraft bound for actual space travel. Later that century, the first humans traveled into space. From the earliest space researchers to today's daring explorers, humankind has learned a lot about our galaxy and beyond, and today's technology is allowing us to gain new information faster than ever. The story of space exploration begins and continues with the people who study, investigate, and experience it. Stargazing. Chapter 1. Stargazing. Astronomy in some form dates back to the beginning of human history. Early evidence of this includes bones carved with the moon phases. These bones are thought to be from 30,000 BCE. Many ancient cultures also track the cycles of the moon and other celestial objects. Some cultures converted these cycles into calendars and tracking the passage of time. Historians believe that Mesopotamians began using lunar calendar sometime between 3000 and 2000 BCE. Ancient Mayans, who lived between 80,000 BCE and 250 CE, and used astronomy to create calendars. By 550 BCE, ancient Greeks created drawings and models of how they thought the universe looked. In these artworks, the sun and a thin rim of stars spun around Earth. The universe was unchanging, meaning no new celestial bodies ever formed. Religion influenced this idea. The Greeks believed the god of gods, who made the universe, would not make anything imperfect. Greek models of the universe became the standard for many centuries. In 1543 CE, Nicholas Copernicus challenged common beliefs about space. Copernicus was a Polish astronomer. He studied the work of astronomers who came before him. From these studies, Copernicus determined that Earth and the other planets moved around the sun. People rejected that idea and ridiculed Copernicus. It was not until several decades later that another astronomer made discoveries to help support Copernicus' ideas. Copernicus believed a planet distance from the sun affected the size of its orbit around the sun. Chapter 2. Seeing is Believing. In 1608, a German glasses maker patented the telescope. The device was made to see across long stretches of land or sea. In 1609, Galileo Galilei pointed a telescope at the night sky. Galileo was one of history's most important astronomers. Galileo improved the telescope design to see deeper into space. In doing so, he saw Jupiter has its own moons orbiting around it. This proved not all celestial bodies orbited Earth. Galileo also saw Venus wind shallow at different times, depending on where it was in relation to the Sun. He realized this meant Venus orbited the Sun, not Earth. This supported Copernicus' theory. The Catholic Church condemned Galileo for his findings, which contradicted its belief about God and the universe. But not everyone criticized Galileo. Galileo invited others to use his telescope and see what he described. And those who could afford the expensive device bought a telescope and saw for themselves. As a result, more people began to believe Galileo and changed their ideas about space. This encouraged others to continue exploring. Galileo Galilei, born 1564, Pisa, Italy, died 1642, Tuscany, Italy. Fact: Galileo was the oldest of 6 siblings. His father was a famous musician. Fact: Galileo was an astronomer, engineer, mathematician, physicist, and philosopher. Galileo discovered what the Milky Way galaxy was not a cloud, but a sea of stars. Achievements. Galileo believed theories needed lots of testing through controlled experiments. His habit became the standard common scientific practice, but it was unusual at the time. Because of this, Galileo is often considered the father of modern science. Galileo used math to predict exactly how long a pendulum might swing. This paved the way for making accurate clocks. Galileo's findings helped support Copernicus' theory that Earth moved around the sun. Some of Galileo's experiments later helped British scientist Sir Isaac Newton explain gravity. Chapter 3 Expanding Understanding. Galileo also performed experiments that influenced space exploration. One was dropping items from great heights to learn about the behaviors they fell. Galileo discovered that a dropped item's acceleration was constant, measurable, and predictable. This helped British scientist Sir Isaac Newton study motion in the 1660s. Newton saw an apple fall from a tree. He wondered why it fell down and not up or to the side. Newton used his question to study gravity. Gravity is a pulling force in all objects. The earth pulls on apples and the apples pull on earth. Put the bigger on object, the harder it pulls. Therefore, earth pulls harder on a falling apple, bringing it to the ground. Newton came up with 3 laws of motion for all objects in the universe. First, an object not in motion will remain still until another force acts upon it. An object in motion will continue moving until another force slows it down or speeds it up. Second, if the same force is applied to 2 objects of different masses, the one with more mass will move more slowly. More mass equals less speed. Third, for every action, there's an equal but opposite reaction. The information affected the way people study space in coming centuries. In 90,000s, people began thinking of traveling into space. Newton's laws influenced how they would get there. Chapter 4 Problem-Solving Space Travel. As scientific study of space grew more advanced, so did people's imaginations. By the 1930s, many writers had dreamed up tales of space travel. That same decade, the Soviet Union began a space program with the goal of traveling into space. The United States began its own space program, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or called NASA, in the 1950s. Later that decade, a rocket scientist from each organization had similar ideas to make spacecraft like those in fiction. These men were Wernher von Braun and Sergei Pavlovich Gogolev. Von Braun worked for NASA and Korolev for the Soviet Union space program. Both men raced to be first to launch a spacecraft. Okay, thank you. Now I'm so freaking tired. I'll see you tomorrow with another video of mine. Thanks.